Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those of you guys don't know, my name is Marissa. I am newer to the AuthorTube channel, and this is going to be about my 6th video that I've posted. I am an aspiring author who is writing her very first debut novel with the hopes of releasing it early 2026. And it is a fantasy novel with a romantic subplot. Yes, so I've been writing this book for about 4 years now. It's been kind of moving along recently, so I'm really excited about the journey. My whole purpose on this channel is just to show you guys how I balance my work life with my church life as well as my writing life. So I wanted to go about how I process things, my writing sprint, like how I write and my writing process and everything. So today my video is going to be about, I had an idea for a story and I have written so far a prologue in chapter 1, and I have been working on kind of fleshing it out. I had an idea and it stuck with me for a few days. If something sticks with me for longer than just like one day, I kind of start trying to dig into it because I feel like in my mind this is something that I want to do and this is something that I am gonna write. So my plan for today is to show you guys how I plot things out and how I get my story together. It's always gonna be a lot of Pinterest scrolling, a lot of so I just kind of wanted to show you guys what I usually do, because like I said, I've already been I'm already chapter 2 into the story. I had a prologue. I already know what the themes, the tropes, everything is gonna be for the story. I got the idea from, I watched the TV show Interview with a Vampire, and I kind of got the idea from it. Not necessarily that it's like a vampire story, it's just I like the vibe. I feel like it's a very dark story with a lot of so I kind of had an idea and I don't know, it kind of stuck with me and everything. So I wanted to show you guys how I process it, not process, but how I go about with creating something from an idea. This is a really good thing for me because I was beginning to feel like I wouldn't be able to come up with anything outside of Crown of Light and Fire. So for this idea to come out, it's making me so happy. It is, I'm thinking, so it's a fantasy story. I love fantasy. If you guys don't know, fantasy is my thing. But it is a fantasy genre. I'm thinking it's gonna be a little dark, but in my mind, when I say dark, it's not gonna be what you guys are used to, like a lot of dark romance. It's not gonna really be anything that you're used to. In my mind, it's very opposite of what Crown of Light and Fire is. It's gonna be a little bit more bloody. It's gonna be a little bit more gory. It's just gonna be, I don't know. For me, the setting is dark. I already have an idea of how the world is gonna be very, very sad, depressing, and then my main guy, he's kind of the main character of the story. I'm so excited to write about him. But he's got this dark cloud above him. His magic is literally darkness and shadow. So I feel like it's just gonna be so different than what I'm used to writing, and I'm kind of excited about writing it. It's gonna be a journey for me. I've already been researching what are the common tropes and everything. There's gonna be romance in there. I think it's more of a dark fantasy romance than anything else, just because of the fact that the main premise of the story revolves around love, I guess. I don't know. Well, I'm still working that part out, but I've been working on it. I always say whenever I make me a MILANOTE document and I have started to fill everything out, I already know that like it's gonna be good for me. So yeah. Another thing that today I wanted to show you guys how I plotted out story, like my chapters. I got this from someone I knew who is an author, and she has published quite a few books, and she gave me her little chapter outline. I feel like everyone can outline however they feel like it, but this for me works really well for me because it has kind of like the base, like the setting, the summary, the characters, any important object or food or whatever. Like, so I'm gonna go through and show you guys how I do that. So yeah. So side note, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to record this video. So I'm kind of thinking that I'm going to not have my face in it. I might do like a little voiceover. I don't know. I have yet to figure this out because, like I said in my last video, I am not the best at editing. I'm not the best at this kind of stuff, especially since I just kind of threw myself into it with no preparation whatsoever. I did have a YouTube channel before, but this is, I have to figure things out. So I have to try to figure out how I'm gonna do it. So I think I'm mainly just gonna kind of point my camera to the screen, and then I'm gonna just do some voiceovers and all this stuff because I feel like that might be the only way I can do it. So we'll see. Okay, so I'm just the voice off the screen. So I'm so sorry that this is probably gonna be very, very awkward because I don't know how else to do this. So I'm gonna show you guys what I like to do and what my process is when it comes to plotting, what apps I use. So I'll tell you guys the apps I use. I use Google Docs or Word, whichever one you prefer. I use MILANOTE, Pinterest, CANVA, and I use Scrivener. But me and Scrivener have not been in the best boat because I haven't figured out how to download it or have it sync from my computer to my phone. So it's been kind of a process. But so I use, like I said, I use Google Docs, Word. I've been using Google Docs more because I feel like it's a lot easier for me to use when I'm at work as well as home. Because with Word, like if you're not connected to the Wi-Fi and if you're offline, it's harder to work on it. Same since Scrivener and I have been fighting pretty much. It's been kind of hard to get it to sync from one computer to from one device to the other. So Google Docs have been my trustworthy friend. I used to use Dabble, but then I figured, never mind. So yeah, but yeah, that's not what we're here for. So yeah, let's get started. So I'm gonna start off with MILANOTE. So my project, this new project that I'm on is called Project Curse. I haven't me thinking of a name is not gonna be something that I'm doing right now, but I am gonna show you guys what I have. So these 2 boards over here are some stories that I wrote over there on Wattpad, but I figured maybe I can potentially turn this into something more than just a Wattpad story. So but right now, as you can see, they're over here because they're kind of my projects that I'm gonna probably work on later. I'm not really gonna stress out about it because yeah, this is my Crown of Light and Fire series. This is not series, stop. Crown of Light and Fire story, and you know, I'll just click in there, show you guys what I have. I have character, relationships, characters, all the good stuff. But this is the one that I have right here. This lovely one right here, Project Cursed. I have 4 boards already in here so far. This is the mood board that I have. I told you guys I'm so excited to write this story because it's like literally good versus evil. Not good versus evil. Oh my gosh. I have my characters already plotted out. I'm not clicking on it because some characters' names are not to be revealed. So I am not gonna do that. But they have like your 3-act structure and how you fill it out. I already filled it out yesterday because I was so excited to work on it and everything. And then my story map, I have to work on this today. If not today, tomorrow, because tomorrow's a holiday and I'll have to work. So yeah, so this is one of the things that I like to do. I'll show you profile. The one character that I am going to let you guys know about, she is the main character. Her name is Alicia. She is a sweet little innocent girl. Not a little girl, oh my god, I don't know why I said that, but she's a sweet girl. So the characters are all immortal. I wanted it to be kind of like, I wanted them to have similarities to vampires and fae, but I didn't want them to necessarily be vampires and fae. So right now I'm just calling them immortals because I don't know what else to call them. Because don't get me wrong, I love reading books about vampires, I love reading books about fae, but writing about those aren't my cup of tea, and I don't want, you know, the idea of my characters to have pointy ears, sharp and elongated teeth, all that stuff. Like, I want them to look, they are essentially human, they're just immortal, and they also have powers. Well, everyone in the world has powers. It's not like my other story where not selective, but like certain people are born with it and some people are not. Everyone in this world has power. It just depends on if you are a royal blood or whatever, depending on how more powerful you are. So yeah, so this is the character profile. Like I said, my main character, her name is Alicia. I'm going to go through and pretty much just I'm not gonna do the whole thing and show you guys how I like write out the characters. I'm not showing any pictures because, like I said, I don't know the rights to these pictures, so I'm not gonna show put any pictures in here because I don't know the creators and they did not make these characters for me, so I'm not going to be rude and use their products without their permission and post it on my YouTube. Like, I'm not gonna do that. But we are going to I am gonna show you guys like what I usually do when it comes to creating my character profiles. On here you can see you have characteristics, backstory, the character arc, how she's gonna change from point A to point B, quirks. I can add other things on here. I usually add character relationships on there as well, because I feel like character relationships are important. do today. So yeah, so that's what we have in MILANOTE. I was originally going to use Scrivener, but then I decided against it because I feel like this would be very easier for me to do what I need to do. So we're just going to go and pick a font that I want to use. More fonts. Outline for project. So outline for Project Cursed. So I'm gonna go through and show you guys what I usually do when I plot my stories. First of all, I'll be honest, I usually plot my stories out on paper. I love writing on paper. That is like my cup of tea. But I'm not gonna do that right now because I want to show you guys what I do. So yeah, we're gonna get started. So like I said, I have written so far the prologue, the chapter 1 and chapter 2, and so even though I already know what I have written down for that, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna do this out right now. So let me do a prologue and third person POV. Okay. So then we start off with the summary. So I'll go through and just basically explain what the summary is, what the main point of the chapter is, and then yeah. That down for this. Yeah, so what I go to and I do next is I go with the setting. There's not much of a setting here, but yeah, I'll just, because you know, it's essentially just the prince's thoughts. It's really nothing crazy in this chapter, but setting is the Grim Castle, and then I always go to characters. The characters, again, there's nobody, but there is mention of the prince's father, the prince, so I'm just gonna put that. And then depressing, because that's kind of what it is. It's mood. And then I always go with chapter purpose. So because this is the prologue and I am doing what I'm pretty much just setting it up so that people are aware of what they're walking into when they get to the story, but I have it a certain way, because the prologue, like I said, they're immortals, so the prologue pretty much takes place like 47 years before our current point. So at the point that the actual story starts, the prince is 147 years old. And so a lot of everything that he talks about in the prologue, it's you see a different point of view, basically. So so I'm gonna put in the chapter purpose, like what it means. Then I go to weather. Sometimes depending on how you write the chapter, some of these things are not going to fit into your chapter. So like weather, I think characters and setting does not really fit into the chapter because of how I set the chapter up. But then I always go weather. I go important objects or people, because you never know, there's probably that one person that stands out the most. Usually for characters, I do go through and I explain the characters, but in this, you just get a general sense of what's going on in the world versus, knowing the prince. So it's not much, it's just his thoughts that you see. So important objects and people, loose ends to pick up later. So that's basically like if there's anything that happens in this chapter, is it going to come back later? And if it does come back later, how is it going to change? So in this instance, a lot of things that happens in this chapter is going to come back later because it's a supporting part of the plot. So so like I would put like all of it basically, and explain what some chapters you might not have something that happens in there because it might be just like a very relaxing kind of chill chapter. So there is a possibility where there is a chapter where nothing happens, where loose ends needs to be picked up, but then there is probably chapters where it's like something happens and then now your characters have to figure out why it happens later, or they'll get the why it happened, and all that stuff. So loose ends to pick up later. And then last but not least, concerns. Oh, another one is, I forgot to put it, another is clothing, because sometimes clothing can be a pretty good very good thing to help, I think, with setting, in my mind. Like in Crown of Light and Fire, the clothing that people wear is different per kingdom. So my character sometimes go through and explain like, oh, she's wearing this, so she's from this kingdom, and da 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 da. And clothing can be kind of like a symbol, or so. But this is usually what I do. I'm not going to go through and fill it out all the way. I do like to color coordinate my stuff. Like, so this is red. My next chapter is going to be a lighter color red. And I like to go through the colors and all that stuff because it's pretty. Usually when I write it out, I do it in different color pens too. But because we're doing it here, which I might have to do more often. But yeah. So this is what I do. So the last thing that I always do, or sometimes I do this first, is I like to go through Pinterest and find things in the, this is I have a separate Pinterest for my writing. So this is my writing Pinterest right here. It's all things fantasy, all things like that. I have some things because at one point I wanted to learn how to draw. So I have like it separated by names, fantasy art, now I have one for Project Curse, character clothing, all that stuff. And yeah, so I usually come on here, and then when I go on Canva, I'm gonna go on Canva. I go through and try to create a, not another mood board, but a collage, pretty much kind of like this, just so I have like a little vibe of what I like to do, and see where I can go, because like I said, I already have like pretty much the how I want it to look, and I found a collage that I kind of want to use. It's very simple. I'm not gonna make it crazy, keeping it simple. I do already have some things downloaded that I think I could use pretty much, and yeah, so I think I'm pretty much gonna use those photos, and yeah, so I'm gonna go through and upload them now, and then I'll be right back. About you guys, but I feel like that was a lot, so I'm sorry, the camera is kind of crooked, so I'm gonna call it a night there. I got me a little mood board going. I have a kind of like an aesthetic collage going. I'm gonna start plotting out the chapters, writing out the little chapters that I do, and yeah, so that's kind of like, yeah, it's a lot. I have really, like, I'm hoping this could be something that like sticks. I gotta work all the details. I gotta work out all of the you know, the stuff, because it needs to be, not needs to be, but I feel like I'm really excited about this. So because I'm really excited, I really want it to work well. So yeah, so I'm gonna go through, I do have to finish chapter 20 today for Crown of Light and Fire, so I am gonna try my hardest to work on that. I know I've been getting so distracted because working on 2 projects at the same time, it's been hard, and I don't know how people do it, so kudos to you guys, because I'm stuck. I am, you know, I want to give my attention to one and not the other and all this stuff, so I gotta find balance. But I am gonna try to finish that. I'm off tomorrow because tomorrow is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so I might just pick a couple of hours and work on drafting Project Cursed, and we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited. Like I said, I keep saying it, I'm really excited to write it because it's very different. I already know in my mind that it's gonna be very different than what I'm usually writing. It's gonna be a dark fantasy, you know, it dabbles in magic, it dabbles in it's gonna dabble in some soulmate things, which I've never done before, because at one point I hated the idea of a mate trope, but it is, so, you know, some characters have them, some don't, so I'm gonna figure out a way to rope that in and look up what all that stuff is. So I am very ready for my search history to be very crazy. Yeah, so I've been researching, because again, I've never written dark anything before, so this is gonna be kind of an adventure, and I don't want it to be like too graphic, like I don't want it to be too graphic. I will try to keep the language clean, because I'm just not the type of person to like really just write a lot of curse words in there. But you know, from what I've been reading, a lot of dark fantasy and dark books have those kind of essence in it. So, and yeah, so I have to try to figure out how to still give it a very dark vibe, with still keeping all of the elements of a dark fantasy in there without overstepping my boundaries. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you for chilling with me today in this kind of chaotic video. I know it's gonna be chaotic. I've been trying to play back the video a little bit as I go, and So bear with me, you guys. I will link down the apps that I use down in the description box. I also created a Spotify playlist for Crown of Light and Fire. So if you guys have any ideas of what songs I could add to it that gives you guys like a fantasy vibe, let me know, because I want to add more music to that playlist. And now that I have Project Curse coming, I want to be able to get some music onto my Project Curse playlist as well and share it with you guys. So I will also link the playlist down below. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions or anything, just let me know in the comments. I will read them, because what else am I gonna do? But yeah, you guys have an amazing week, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.